Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with episode 2625 of the Cabral Concept. This is our Friday review. Can't wait to get into today's show because I've got all sorts of different product recommendations. I've got one product that I'm no longer recommending, so I want to share that with you as well. Unfortunately, every once in a while that happens. I can't think of the last time it happened, but this is one of those times, and I always like to share with you, as I always say, the truth, the unbiased truth as to what's good and what's bad, and then also go over an amazing book, tiny book that I just read the other day that I can't wait to share with my daughters in just a couple of years as they get older. We've got the Dirty Dozen, the new 2023 Dirty Dozen, 12 foods to absolutely stay away from if you can't find them organic, and then 15 foods that if you can't buy organic, all organic, these ones are okay to purchase. So let's get into it today. What I want to do is I always like to give you kind of a little personal recap for the week. It always seems like so much goes on in just a 7-day period. I don't know if you feel that way, but certainly I do. You know, one of the things for me is you always hear about on my Monday shows how big I am just with family and just especially with two daughters. It's very interesting when you have kids, and I know that many people listen to the show have kids, and some people think about having kids in the future, is that they show you how quickly life goes by. Right? Now, in the moment, between like the 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock hour, you know, you also understand how slowly life can go by as well. But for the most part, every single day, you just see them growing up and getting older. And you also understand that, you know, those years, you don't necessarily get back. And now you can look back at those memories and they're beautiful memories, but time keeps on moving. So one of the things that I always do is I just say, listen, you can't control what you can't control, but you have to do your best to control what you can. So one of the things that I always like to do is obviously I spend a lot of time with them, all my time on the weekends, and we have our nights together, all those great things like a lot of parents, of course, do. And I'm very fortunate that I don't have to work the weekends anymore. I used to for a long period in my career, but I'm fortunate that I don't now. And so I don't take that for granted because I know a lot of parents do. And I appreciate that and appreciate them for doing that for their families. But one thing that I look at too is, hey, can we get together with their grandparents and family more as well? And so that's something that we did over the Easter holiday. And for many of you who were celebrating that, you know, happy Easter to you as well. But this has just been a really nice time to reconnect with family. We had their vacation just a couple weeks before their spring vacation. So that was nice for us to take a little bit of time together as a family. And I've just kind of been reflecting on that. That's part of today's book review as well, that I want to share that because that's just one of a few books that I brought with me on vacation. And it was a beautiful read. I told my wife, I was like, you have to read this book, you know, check it out. Let me see if you like it. And then of course, we're going to recommend it for our daughters in just a couple of years from now. And I'll share that in just a moment. But also, now I kind of transition. Spring break for them is over. I'm another year older. Of course, you know, I always joke around like all of March, especially the end of March is my birthday celebration, but it's tongue in cheek. And for me, you know that a big part of my focus now is on life extension, extending health span, how long we can stay healthy over our life without getting any diseases or pain and suffering, right? And then also lifespan, how long can we live? That is obviously, it's the goal for a lot of people. I know not for everyone, but I'm telling you right now, most people who are enjoying their life want to live a long time because they want to have just more of that to enjoy. They want to see their kids grow up, or they want to see projects that they've been working on come to fruition. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. And as long as you're enjoying yourself, which I really believe life is meant to be, then I hope you do that for many, many more years to come. And then this time of the year too, I say, hey, how can I start to ramp up my exercise, my own routines? Not by a lot, but by a little bit. And this is always the time of the year that I think about, all right, am I going to get back into sprint triathlons again for this year or not? And I'm leaning in that direction. It's only because of my new HPH program. I've been doing a lot more on the bike with EWAT. I'm going to be sharing that with you. That EWAT is a game changer, especially for people with traumatic brain injuries, concussions, neurological issues, dementia, Alzheimer's. So I can't wait to share that more more with you. And then just, again, overall improving mitochondrial function. So I've been doing a lot more of that. And the other thing I just want to share with you, because it's been going on in my own life, is that I've really, since I went away with my daughters for that week and tried not to be on social media or my computer really at all, I try to do everything ahead of time, is that I'm on social media 10 minutes a day. That's it. It's really about 10 minutes. And now I will say there's a little bit more than that for work. If I'm answering people's questions or I'm posting to my stories, yes. But me consuming nonsense, just consuming nonsense, maybe 10 minutes a day now. So 10 minutes of nonsense is what I'm doing. But I really do feel better. I do feel better. And if you haven't cut yours down, taken a week off and then just go back a little bit, I don't know. For me, I've been watching educational videos. I've been listening to podcasts. I've been doing a ton of reading, a lot of research, which is just a lot more of what I'm doing now. So now I'm probably reading a couple books a week, but I'm reading now dozens upon dozens of research studies, where before I was reading 3 to 4 books a week. But over the last few years, it's been a lot more research heavy. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you, and I don't know kind of where you're at in your life, but we just finished our first 12-week year, and now we're kind of moving into that second quarter, and so I always kind of reevaluate where I'm at, and for sure the social media thing, I'm going to keep that going. I don't see myself being on there non-work-wise very much at all. I just feel so much better not consuming all the stuff they would show in my feed. Now, again, it's things that I guess I clicked on in the past. I don't know. I think some of it is just kind of them sharing things that they want me to see, and it just doesn't fit with my current mindset. So I wanted to share that with you. All right, I always like to go over to what's going on over at Equalife. This week, we have teamed up with Therasage. We've teamed up with Therasage in the past. We carry many of their products. They are a fantastic company. They've been doing this now over 30 years. They have probably the premier pop-up infrared sauna. And they also have a lot of other great products that we've recommended and still continue to recommend in the past. One of those that we gave away last fall is called the BioBand. If you're watching this on video, if you're watching this on video on YouTube and you subscribe to the show, I appreciate you. I thank you. It's helping to grow this YouTube-based community, which I love to see grow. So if you haven't, please do subscribe to the show. We come out with daily content. But this right here is called the BioBand. I'm wearing it myself. It is stylish. I've worn this many, many times. Why would I wear something like this? Let me show you the inside of it, because you can only see the outside, which is obviously stylish. And then the inside, though, is where the magic happens. So I'm going to share this. Again, if you're not watching this video, that's okay. But inside, you'll actually see different gemstones. Now, before you think that I'm going all, woo-woo on you, there's actually a lot of science behind gemstones and the ceramic chip and magnets inside of this BioBand. Magnets have been used for many, many years for healing and pain relief, speeding up wound healing, and much more. The ceramic chip is actually helping with blood flow, circulation, and along with the gems, negative ion production. Now, am I talking this is this massive negative ion generator? No. But if I'm working at a computer for most of the day, and I've got all these different EMF sources around me, as many negative ions as I can get into my body, the better. And the reason is negative ions help to squelch the free radical damage by us being surrounded by all of this radiation, electrical and magnetic radiation around us. So having a simple band like this is just one more thing that you can do, that you don't need to do anything. You literally put it on your body and you're good to go. So this is why we sold out of these, and it was a giveaway before, but we sold out of these within 48 hours, less than 2 days. It was wild. We immediately contacted Therasage and said, hey, can we get another 500? Because we always do 500. And they shipped us those out. If you were part of that, congratulations. If you got one, amazing. I wanted to do it again. It's been over 6 months. So if you head on over to stephencabral.com/shop while this podcast is live this day, check it out. So stephencabral.com/shop, you can get one free with all qualifying orders, and I hope that you do get one. All right. If you've already have one, let me know how you enjoy yours in the comments. So stephencabral.com/shop. I recommend getting yours free. It's a giveaway on all qualifying orders while supplies last. This time we are capping it at 500. So these will absolutely, again, I say sell out, but I can't think of another way. They run out, I guess, would be the best way to say it. All right. Podcast recap for the week. Again, I appreciate this show is continuing to grow and grow, which, I love. I tell my team all the time, my favorite thing to do is teach. My favorite thing to do is continue to grow our community, have people simply share this with their friends, family, loved ones. So it's continuing to happen, and I have you to thank for it. So your reviews of the show mean everything, your downloads and listens and subscribes, because YouTube or iTunes or Spotify or all these shows, they just keep showing it closer and closer to the top. The more reviews and more downloads and more time on the podcast, the better. So if you haven't done any of those, if you could, I would greatly appreciate it. All right. Episode 2621 this week was reevaluating and better optimizing your 2023 plan. So I'm not going to lie to you, just like anybody else, my first quarter, some things were big wins and some things didn't necessarily happen the way that I wanted. But what I share with people is, so is life. What we need to do is, we need to figure out this. Like, the things that we didn't achieve in our first quarter that we were supposed to, or at least get started on, wasn't important to us in the first place. And if it wasn't, move on. You don't need to do things in your life that aren't necessarily important to you, or of course, that are family obligations. So what I like to do is I share with people then how to recalibrate. That's what episode 2621 is all about. Figuring out what is important to you, recalibrating, and then how to accomplish it over this next 12 weeks or multi-12 week period. All right, the next show, 2622, was reversing inflammation through diet alone. I hope that you check out that show. It's an easy one to get started on. And I think that all of us, including myself, can benefit from those tips. 2623 was semaglutide and weight loss drugs, the pros and cons. So if you haven't heard about semaglutide yet, if you haven't heard about the brand names of semaglutide, how it's being used to regulate blood sugar or help with blood sugar and weight loss, definitely check out that show, because again, it is unbiased. I tell you the pros, what the studies have shown, and I also tell you the potential side effects that nobody, including your doctor, is telling you about. All right, yesterday's show was, does skipping breakfast lead to an earlier death? And regardless of how you feel in intermittent fasting, like me, I love it, right? You have to check out this show. Really important research on over 24,000 people on over 15 years who've tried different types of intermittent fasting. Check it out, all right? So again, all shows can be found at stephencabral.com/podcasts, and all of today's links are at stephencabral.com/2625. All right, here, the product review of the week is an anti-review, okay? I hate to do this. I hate to do it. But, and you know that I never, is this going to be a double negative? But I never share products I don't believe in. Yeah, that's correct. That's a positive. Okay. And the reason is, there's so many great products to recommend. Why would I tell you what not to buy? The problem is, about 4 to 5 months ago, I was having construction done in my home. And I bought an air quality monitor for the very first time. Now, I've had my ear filters that I love. I always have those. And when there's pollutants in the air, they turn on. It actually goes from blue, which means no pollutants, to yellow, to red if there's a lot of pollutants in the air. And then once it's back down from red to then yellow to then blue, I know the air is clean. But I was having work done, and even though we used no VOC paint and we all use all like natural wood-based materials, etc., you have to be careful, right? And so I wanted that to make sure that my 2 daughters and my wife and I and my dog were all in the clear. So I bought a monitor and it was working great, phenomenal. And then about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months, it started showing high TVOCs. Now, in our air ducts, we put in like anti-mold UV light filters, all sorts of things. So I'm climbing around in the attic, unplugging these things, and it's still elevated. I'm like, well, what else could it have been? Well, we had work done in this room. Maybe it's high in this room. No. So like, what is going on? And it turns out that, and it's my theory, that this particular monitor, those TVOCs, VOC stands for volatile organic compounds, and the T is just total. It gets trapped inside the monitor, and I believe my theory is now correct, because we bought a new monitor because I wanted to put my wife's mind at ease and my mind at ease. So I bought the same exact monitor, plus a different type of monitor, because I owe this to you. If I'm making these recommendations, I need to get it right. And so then, both those monitors were totally fine. So like, okay, good. The air filter is not showing its high. Neither new monitors are. But then the brand of the previous monitor that wasn't working started to now show again higher TVOCs. It's my conclusion that this monitor, it brings in the air and those TVOCs get trapped and it starts to lead to a higher reading. So having said all that, it was also the more expensive monitor by $100. So the nice thing is this, I'm taking it off my resources page and I'm giving you the monitor that I recommended before. That's $100 less, and it's actually even better. Okay, so that's the thing. All these air quality monitors, I'm not going to name the brand name. Okay, I'm not going to do that to them. But if you want the one that does not trap the TVOCs, that doesn't get worse over time, check out stevencabral.com/resources. I feel very confident in this one. I've had it now for multiple months, and it's very reliant. It goes up when we're cooking and there might be some smoke in the house or anything like that. It goes back down after we open the windows, let everything vent out. So it's very reliable, and it is right on par with my air filters. If you want to see what I use for air filters, you can go to stevencabral.com/resources. They are all there. All right. So hopefully that was helpful. Again, I'm always going to do updates on the show. They'll always be on my Friday reviews. Now, this book right here, it's actually my second copy because I save always a copy for me. And then my favorite little books, because people read little books. I think it's a great way to approach books. If I give people a thick book, the likelihood it gets read, not good. This book is a story though. And it reminds me back in the day, I'm telling you, I think it was somewhere around 2000 and I'll tell you right now, it was somewhere around 2004, 2005. I read the book, The Celestine Prophecy. I've never reviewed it on the show, I don't believe. If I did, it was many, many years ago. Because I started the podcast in like 2016. So for sure, it was like a decade before that I read that. The Celestine Prophecy. It's an amazing book. I haven't read it for well over, well, that's a long time ago, huh? I haven't read it for at least 15 years. Maybe I should reread it. But the book's a little bit thicker than this. But this right here, though, it gave me the same feel. And this is essentially, it's a very inspiring story as to why money, fame, an easy life should not be the goal for any one of us. Now, you can have all of those things. You can have the easier life, you can have the money, you can have the fame, whatever that might be, but not if you do not already hold and harness the principles for the real meaning of life. And this book called The Ultimate Life by Jim Stovall was fantastic. And so I read this in maybe an hour and a half, maximum, maybe less. It's that kind of book that you can read in one sitting. And he has two other books in the series. I haven't read those yet, but I probably will. This is a book that I'm going to have my daughters read around 12 years old. There's just a couple parts that I don't want them reading at 8 and 10 years old, but just a couple of years from now, I'm kind of putting books aside that I want them to read, and this is one of those books. Now, I'm obviously a lot older than 8 and 10. I found the book to be very powerful, and I've read many, many books on like the art of happiness and having a beautiful life. So check it out if you want. I will link that up today again at 2625, stevencabral.com/2625. Great book. All right, and it was set in Boston. So it was. I was like, oh, is this meant to be set in the Back Bay of Boston? It was great. So anyway, really liked it. And love the meaning of it. I'll probably reread it, to be honest with you. All right, so I wanted to go over one research study for you here today. The IHP team, they do so much great work. Really appreciate them. They gave every single year we give our IHPs a new handout on the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 for them to use in their practice. We're actually going to just give this to you today as well, even if you're not a part of IHP. So again, last time I'll say this, stevencabral.com/2625. Lots of show notes today. We're going to give you the PDF that we use inside of IHP. Inside of IHP, they get over 50 different handouts to use with their clients or their own family, friends, etc. But the Dirty Dozen was started, I believe, by the Environmental Working Group, EWG.org. They're a nonprofit, and they go through clean foods, clean cosmetics, clean bath products, etc. They go over toxicity. I quoted them so much on my book, The Rainbow Effect. They do such great work. I've donated to them as one of the charities that I believe in. Big advocate of the EWG. Okay, so the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen are really easy, meaning that if you can't afford to purchase all organic foods, or they don't sell organic in that particular produce, this is fruits and vegetables, then it's okay to choose one of these foods in the Clean 15 if it's not organic. It may not have the same micronutrients, right? Vitamins, minerals, etc., because if it's not in the soil, it's not getting into that food, right? Okay. But then there's the Dirty Dozen. The Dirty Dozen are the 12 worst foods for pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, etc. These are ones that you really can't wash off. So these 12 foods I recommend never eating unless you can buy them organic. Now you might say, well, that's not really fair. I can't get them. I understand. But you're eating bug spray. You're eating things that we know are toxic to your gut microbiome and your body. Better to not eat them, I believe, because there's so many other choices. Now, and again, if you only have certain dollars to allocate towards purchasing organic food, make them towards the dirty dozen. That's my opinion. Again, you don't have to follow it, but I wanted to share that with you. Let's do a quick overview, and I'm going to link it all up for you, all right? So, the dirty dozen this year, don't buy them unless you can find them organic. Strawberries, they're pretty much always first on the list. Spinach, kale, collard greens, mustard greens. Peaches, pears, nectarines, apples, grapes, bell and hot peppers, cherries, blueberries, and green beans. Blueberries is on the list now. All right, the clean 15, avocados, sweet corn, pineapples, onions, papaya, sweet peas, asparagus, honeydew melon, kiwi, cabbage, mushrooms, mangoes, sweet potatoes, watermelon, and carrots is now on that clean 15. So let me give you a couple of the changes. Now, I wanted to share with you, this does not mean GMO. GMO, yes, a lot of those things are sprayed, but conventional is what we're talking about, not GMO, okay? So I'm not a believer in eating genetically modified foods. You can, we'll link up a show on GMO foods as well. All right, so Dirty Dozen changes this year. So foods removed from last year, celery and tomatoes are no longer on the Dirty Dozen. They're still dirty foods, they just didn't make the top 12. All right, foods added to the Dirty Dozen this year, blueberries and green beans for the first time. So remember, there are a lot of pesticide-sprayed foods, but it's the Dirty Dozen, which are the worst that you want to focus on. All right, and let's go over changes to the Clean 15. One food that's no longer on the Clean 15 is cantaloupe. That got moved out of there. All right, that used to be number 12. Foods that were added for 2023 is carrots. So that was kind of the switch. And then there was a few reordering from last year, sweet potatoes, etc., but we don't have to worry about those as much. So I wanted to share that with you. If you want an easy one-pager printed sheet of the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen, one last time, head on over to stevencabral.com/2625. Hopefully today's show was helpful. I thank you. I appreciate you being a part of this community. Tomorrow, I begin our weekend questions on the Cabral House Calls, answering all of your questions every Saturday and Sunday. Take care, everybody. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.